Hello, this is Alvaro Bustos, Realty, and it's December the 19th. And as we come to the close of the end of the year, I wanted to give you a quick update of what the real estate market is in South Florida and also give you a pretty good understanding of what this is for most of us. So everyone's talking primarily about a market crash and interest rates. So those are the two things that most people talk about in today's world. When people ask me in the street, hey, tell me about when is this market crash coming and interest rates, how high are they going to go? I just want to share some information and some numbers with you about where we are. So first, let's talk about the market crash. So 41% of Americans believe there will be a housing crash in the next 12 months. 72% of people believe that will be as bad as it was in 2008. And 58% of that group expect are now postponing or holding off to making a decision in real estate. So a lot of people are being very careful, very conservative in the real estate market because they think that we're going to have a housing market. So let's talk about the conditions of what happened in 2008 versus what is happening now. Okay, back in 2008, we had 8 million people unemployed. In today's world, we have practically no unemployment. Actually, there's companies out there that are looking to hire people on a constant basis, on a regular basis. Very now and then you hear a company laying off, but those workers get reabsorbed into the market somewhere else. Okay, so let's talk about total household, how many homes were actively being mortgaged and financed and people were living in them. We have about 138 million homes. Right now we have 158. That's a 20 million unit difference that are owned and financed that are being lived on, okay? Now let's talk a little bit also about something called subprime SLUG, which is the ARM, the amortized mortgage rate. Those were the bad loans, the flexible loans. Back then were prevalent, like, 3 of every 4 loans were ARMs. In today's world, we have virtually none, very little to no subprime loans, which means people are in a safer position when it comes to their loan. Okay, new constructions in the last 5 years before 2008 versus the last 5 years of now, builders and developers had built 7.65 million homes. Right now, only 4.6. So that's like a shortage of 3 million homes, which takes us to the next point, shortage or actual inventory of homes. Back in 2008, we had about 4 million homes on the market for sale. Right now, we have about 1 million, and in some days we have even less than that because the market moves so fast. There's so much demand. Let's talk about mortgage delinquency, people who were literally behind on their mortgages. In 2008, we had about 10%, which is 1 in every 10. In today's world, we had less than 3.5, 3.6%, which is way, way less than it was back then. Foreclosures, back then we had about 4.6% of people on foreclosures. In today's world, 0.06, like almost nothing. Okay, now you still see in the news the kind of news that scare you. It said 15 years ago the housing market crashed under similar circumstances. A lot of people are giving you a lot of headlines news, but nobody backs it up with information and data. Okay, another important thing is the home increase forecast that we have right now. So right now we're, as an average of all the conglomerates and everybody who is in the mortgage business and on the housing business, we're thinking they're going to have a 0.3% increase every year, or specifically this year in the next 12 months. Okay, that is a combination of Freddie Mac and Fannie and Freddie and Realtor.com and National Association of Realtors and many others. But we still are expecting to have a growth, maybe not as big as it was in the last couple of years, but it's still nonetheless a growth in your home equity, which is for a lot of people, their home retirement, their home loans is where they plan to have money for the future or what they will leave behind for their children. Now let's talk about the number of foreclosures that are happening and what was happening back in 2008. Back in 2008, we were struggling and dealing with about 2 million foreclosures in 1 year. In today's world, in 2022, so far, 88,000. That's like a fraction of what it was back then. So if you're thinking people are under foreclosure, there's a wave of foreclosure coming, don't see how. Don't see how, don't see where that's coming from. Interest rates. Let's talk a little bit about interest rates. Everyone knows and watches the news, interest rates are going up. So let's go back to January of this year, where we had about 2.5%, 3%. Okay. And it did go up all the way up to 7% sometime in early November, somewhere in that range. But right now, today, even with the Fed constantly increasing rates, we're still only at about a 6%, which is a great number considering that in many years ago, we have seen 12s and 14s and 16s. Now, that is the trajectory, but let's think about what the trajectory is short term. Back in November of 2000, November 10 of this year, we were at 7.08. And then it has continually dropped down little by little. We're down at 6.31 as of this morning. If you want more information about real estate, interest rates, the potential wave of foreclosures, and if you want more specific information about you or your home and your market, give me a call. Alvaro Bustos, Bustos Realty.